Jack Posobiec. Hello, sir. How are you?
Kathy, how are you? Happy New Year. Thank you so much for having me on. And it's always great to be here on 1210 AM WPHT, the
Look at
greatest
you.
radio station in the United States of America.
Absolutely. Did you know that we cover most of the mid-Atlantic states, all of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, and Maryland?
Well, I sure do. And I learned that because I cut my teeth many moons ago as an intern at WPHT, learning at the feet of the great John Giordano and many others.
I know. When I told the team that you were coming in, they were like, oh, is he coming in? Like, everybody remembers you here. Great love for you, Jack. You are just, let me tell you something. You are a truth breather, no matter if it's a hotly contested issue and most other influencers, conservatives are not saying anything. I can always count on you of being very thoughtful and deliberate and allowing your voice to be heard and giving people, kind of setting the trail for people, understanding what are we talking about and staying very balanced in that. I've always appreciated that with you. Let me get into it real quick because I know you're a very busy man. I texted you this morning because I woke up to Elon Musk has changed his Twitter handle. He is now to be referred to, I guess, as Kekius Maximus. And I was telling our listeners that I taught my children Latin when I homeschooled them for about 5 years. So when I see the word Maximus, it immediately, the definition in English is the greatest. It's kind of given as a title of honor. A lot of people are called, it's a term for warrior saint, and so to speak. So I don't know. How should I take this? Is this just another joke or just humor or what? What are your thoughts?
Oh boy! So, of all things, and look, we used to talk about, before they even were called memes back on the station back in 05, 06.
Mm-hmm.
But so Kekius Maximus. So Kek is this sort of internet frog. It's another name for Pepe, Pepe the Frog, who was a meme that really gained popularity in 2016 as sort of like the chaos god or the trickster god, and he was kind of like the Loki energy from the Marvel movies or the Norse mythology series, so that he was sort of this trickster spirit, and adapting that to the internet, it was sort of like a lot of people kind of Donald Trump actually had retweeted an image of Pepe the Frog at one point, but Donald Trump as Pepe the Frog all the way back in 2016. So it's really kind of a meme that's been around for a long time, sort of saying, hey, I'm here on the internet to have fun, but also be, fighting against the left and going towards a certain direction. That's how I take it. Well, of course, remains to be seen how he uses it.
Yeah, absolutely right. But what do you think, though? When you're talking about Elon Musk, it's not like talking about Kathy Barnette, right? Or Joe Blow. We're talking about a man who is very powerful and sit in rooms with very powerful people, whether it's our president-elect Donald Trump or whether it's Xi Jinping or over in Germany. SpaceX, very significant contracts with the government. Tesla, over 50% of the market share here in America. And of course, I so appreciate Elon Musk for all that he did in helping us with this magnificent comeback win. But again, we're not just talking about, Joe Blow from next door. So how do we think about him and interact with him as we're watching him kind of talk to people online?
I would say that, the sort of internet posting culture, which of course Donald Trump is a huge part of, Elon Musk is a huge part of. I may have dabbled in once or twice myself, just a little bit. It's now part of American culture, and it's sort of accepted in a way that really hadn't been before. And look, it goes into your sort of the podcast bros and the talk radio of how this was the podcast election, the X election, and I think it really just kind of goes in with all of that. That look, we're the Americans. We are kind of wired a little bit differently. That's why, by the way, when this huge H-1B debate and that Elon has found himself embroiled in goes on, is to say that, look, the American people are different. We're built different. We're structured different. We're just a little bit different from people in other parts of the world, and that's okay. And so for folks who are on the other side of the debate from Elon are saying, look, we want to keep our country the way it is, and we want to keep our culture. And by the way, that is part of American culture, kind of, throwing up your dukes and saying, look, this is our country. We're going to keep it this way. And we don't like people coming in and telling us what to do and changing things. And that is part of the indelible part of the American culture that we've all come to, I think, really just vote for on the ballot in 2024. I think that's what it was all about. And so, look, that doesn't mean that, we're not going to shoot down the next, Nikola Tesla or von Braun or Einstein. But it's like, hey, let's put some serious thought behind these programs that are coming in and really hurting the American middle class and the American worker. And so I would point to that, playful culture, that comedic culture as part of the America, which, by the way, look, I lived in China for 2 years. You don't see this in China.
No, you don't.
Right?
Yes.
You don't see Xi Jinping doing that. You don't see, actually, Narendra Modi in India does have a little bit of, meme culture. I will actually point out that he does do that a little bit. Yeah, in China, you don't see that. Japan, you don't see that.
No,
and that's
you
okay,
don't.
because they're different countries. And I'm not saying that we should change China or Japan. Well, maybe the CCP, we could have a discussion about that. But that's what it's all about. This is American culture, and it's okay for us to say we like American culture, we celebrate American culture, and we want to stay American. That's what the 4th of July is all about.
You believe that.
No one else does.
Well, you believe that. I believe that. I believe it's okay. You believe it's okay. I believe most Americans believe this comedic banter back and forth is okay. But do you think the tech bros believe that?
Well, I think the tech pros actually do believe the comedic culture. And maybe that's something where, in this debate, we could actually find some common ground here, is to say, look, I get it. I get that these programs, and I had a debate, we were doing the Twitter spaces yesterday, and I had a guy came on, and he was in real estate, and he said, well, I fired all the Americans who work for me, and I hired all immigrants because they want to work harder, and they've got a better ethos, and these Americans, you can't hire them, and they don't want to work hard. I said, whoa, wait a minute. The lack of wanting to work hard is not an ethos problem. It's an incentive problem. People will work harder if they feel that incentive. And the problem is, for the American worker, particularly Gen Z, by the way, they feel like they are being cut out of the system. Why? Because they're feeling the pressure. They're feeling the pressure from wokeness and DEI and all of these programs that are designed to help people who aren't them. And then, oh, by the way, the fact that they have to compete with this endless supply of cheap foreign labor that's able to come in. And the foreign labor, by the way, of course, they've got an incentive to work for lower pay. Why? Because they want to come to the United States of America, and they want to bring their families over. They want to have kids here who get the birthright citizenship. They want to do the chain migration. They want to do the sponsorship. Of course, they're incentivized. They're not doing that because of an ethos. They're doing that because of basic economic incentive. This stuff isn't that serious. And I understand, look, there's a lot of people who've been living large for a long time off of these programs. And it ain't just the tech bros, by the way, it's the universities too. I'm willing to have a discussion about all of it.
Oh my goodness. I mean, Jack, I don't think I've heard anyone speak so clear about and make such a clear case about what really is going on, because I agree with you. It really is about an how people are being incentivized. And when you're looking at foreign labor, it's not just cheap foreign labor, but it's very compliant foreign labor. Many of these people know they're on a visa and they can be sent back, and they have a lot of incentives, and therefore they're willing to work 80 hours and get a 40-hour work pay. And that does not move the needle for a number of Americans. I think this is a very healthy conversation to be having. I mean, I did not know, and I've said it many times, I had no idea HB1 visa was going to be the topic at the forefront of my mind, leaving 2024 and going into 2025. But clearly, it's important. Now, a lot of media, I listen to a lot of world media outlets from around the world and how they're looking at this whole, debate and debacle that we find ourselves in. I'm listening to our own mainstream media, and many of them are characterizing it as a rift in MAGA, that MAGA is having a civil war. Do you believe that?
No, this isn't a civil war, and I understand. Look, people are going to have – this is a Twitter debate, right? And a Twitter feud, a Twitter debate. Look, there's going to be memes. There's going to be back and forth. There's going to be banter. But essentially, it is a helpful and healthy dialogue. This is family dispute. Okay, this is a family dispute inside the family. And that's what's great, by the way, about the right as opposed to the left, is that conservatives can have a conversation.
Yes.
We can disagree, but we don't start canceling people over it. I haven't heard anyone say, oh, an Elon Musk should be banned from the internet and kick him out, get him out of Mar-a-Lago. No. None of that. We are having a healthy discussion. And by the way, you've had people on both sides acknowledge the situation and acknowledge and say, well, yeah, of course we want America to get the super geniuses of the world. Of course you want Elon Musk in America, right? And I think that, I gotta point out that I think that he may have taken it a little bit personally because he at one point was an H-1B himself. And so he, kind of used it through that lens. He sees a mirror of himself, but that don't mean everybody in the program is an Elon Musk, right? There's only so many Elon Musks in the world, and God works in mysterious ways, and we could all have a long theological debate about why that is, but we know that that's the case. And so going beyond that, though, no, it's not a civil war. It's a discussion. It is a healthy clarification. But what the other one I want to say is I don't want to talk about is for as much conversation as there is about how many Elon Musk could be out there in the world. I want to have a conversation about how many J.D. Vances are there in parts of the United States of America that have been overlooked because they're from some of the poorest parts of the area of the country, from Appalachia, from the hills, from Western Pennsylvania, from, Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania, or, Pine Grove, or all of these areas of the country where, we're just supposed to look over them because they're backwards and they wear the red MAGA hats and they drive pickup trucks, and you know the whole litany of it, right? And it's ridiculous. But we don't look at the American people as the resource that they are. And America's greatest superpower is the American people.
It really is.
We can't overlook them. That's what the election was all about.
It really is. It's the people, right? And I was saying to someone earlier that America is more than just the bottom line. We are more than just widgets, nuts, and bolts. This is personal, and we have a lot of talent, myself included, coming from a pig farm underneath a rock. J.D. Vance and so many other, even Vivek Ramaswamy. He is a direct product of this country, right? And so we have a lot of talent here to mine. Jack Posobiec, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for dropping in.